The TCL K70SE might be the weirdest budget phone of 2026 because on one side it has a 5-megapixel camera and a tiny 3000 mAh battery, which honestly sounds terrible. But somehow, after using it for a while, this phone started making a lot more sense than you expected. Because once you get past the outdated looking specs, you start noticing something interesting. TCL clearly didn't build this phone to impress people with flashy features or crazy performance. Instead, it feels like they focused on one simple thing: making a phone that handles basic everyday life without costing much money. Picking up the TCL K70SE, the first thing people will notice is that it doesn't have that hollow, toy-like feeling older budget phones used to have. Even though it's a full plastic build, it feels much more solid, and the design actually looks a lot more modern compared to previous models from TCL. It's lightweight too, so using that 6.56-inch screen one-handed doesn't feel like a chore. The smoothness is probably the first thing most people will notice. For normal daily use, the 90Hz refresh rate feels smooth enough that you probably won't even think about 120Hz. But that smoothness does come with one downside. If you're someone who watches a lot of Netflix or movies on your phone, you'll definitely notice that the 540p resolution is a bit low. Videos still look fine for casual viewing, but they're just not super crisp because the pixel count isn't quite there for a high-res experience. As for the brightness, indoors it's completely fine, but at 400 nits, once you head outside into direct sunlight, reading the screen can get a little annoying. You'll definitely find yourself looking for some shade just to see your notifications. So yeah, the display isn't amazing, but for basic everyday stuff, it honestly does fine. The TCL K70SE is using a Helio G50 chip, and honestly, let's be real about what that means for daily use. For basic stuff like WhatsApp, TikTok, or checking emails, it's mostly fine. It doesn't really feel slow when you're just doing the essentials. But once you start opening too many apps at the same time, you can definitely feel it slowing down. With 4GB of RAM, this phone is clearly made for light users. If you're someone who keeps 20 apps running in the background, you're going to notice some lag. A lot of people want to know, can the TCL K70SE handle PUBG or Free Fire? Yeah, you can play them, but you'll have to keep the settings on low. If you try to push it any harder, you're going to see some frame drops, especially during those intense fights. It's fine for a casual match, but it's definitely not a gaming phone. One thing I did notice though, the phone gets warm pretty quickly. After around 30 minutes of gaming or just doing too much at once, the back gets noticeably warm. You can tell the chip is starting to struggle a bit at that point. For storage, you're getting 64GB, which is okay for basic apps, but don't expect apps to open instantly every single time. It takes a second or two longer compared to more expensive phones. The cameras are probably where you start noticing this is still a budget phone. The 5-megapixel main lens, and honestly, the results are exactly what you'd expect for a phone like this. The 2-megapixel selfie camera is pretty basic too. In the sun, your selfies will look okay, but the quality gets a bit soft and lacks detail very quickly. Video recording is pretty basic too, especially since there's no stabilization. If you're walking while filming, the footage is going to look pretty shaky. It's fine for a quick, casual clip, but just don't expect flagship level cameras here. A couple of smaller details actually surprised me with this phone. Thankfully, the software isn't loaded with junk. It's running Android 16 and feels surprisingly clean. You're not flooded with random pre-installed apps that drive people crazy on budget phones. The fingerprint sensor is built right into the power button, and honestly, it feels way more natural than those old school sensors on the back. It's quick enough that you aren't sitting there waiting for the phone to wake up. The speaker setup is pretty basic though, just a single speaker. It gets loud enough for a quick YouTube video, but the music sounds a little flat honestly. Don't expect a rich sound. But one thing a lot of people will still love is the headphone jack. It's so nice to not have to worry about dongles or charging Bluetooth batteries just to listen to a podcast. And just so you know, I checked and there's no NFC here, so no quick tap to pay. But if the 64GB of storage starts feeling tight, you can just pop in a micro SD card. It's not trying to impress you with crazy features, it just covers the basics pretty well. One thing you definitely don't have to worry about is the battery life. It's got a 3000 mAh battery, and since the screen isn't super high res, this thing just keeps going. Even if you're using it pretty heavily all day, you'll probably still have a decent chunk of battery left by the time you go to bed. It's easily a full day phone if your usage is mostly normal stuff like social media and YouTube. But here's the catch: the charging. It only supports 10-watt charging, and honestly, it feels slow. Nowadays, even cheaper phones are starting to charge way faster than this. At the end of the day, this phone makes a lot more sense once you know who it's actually actually for. Honestly, it's not trying to be anything fancy. If you want something for heavy gaming or amazing camera quality, you're definitely gonna feel the limitations if you try to push it too hard. But if you just need something that looks good, feels solid in the hand, and actually lasts you through the day without dying, it honestly makes sense for a lot of normal users. You still get the important stuff people actually use every day, without any of those annoying gimmicks. I'd honestly recommend this if you're a student on a tight budget, or if you just need a reliable second phone for work. You're definitely not getting anything super high-end here, but for basic use, it handles itself pretty well for the price. So yeah, if your daily life is mostly WhatsApp, YouTube, and scrolling through social media, you'll probably be pretty happy with it. Just remember to plug it in overnight.